Hey, hello everybody. Welcome back to Historian Stitch. Um, Originally this video was supposed to be posted 2 weeks ago, but it's been a really long 2 weeks. What is she doing? Um, basically, 2 weeks ago my computer and I had a falling out because the entire hard drive was completely full, so I was trying to delete some things and I deleted the wrong things. So there's that. So the video you are about to see is missing an entire chunk of darning socks. So I will do another how-to video on how to darn your socks. Darning being the process of filling in holes in anything that's like knit or crochet or blanket-ish. So yeah. With that said, what this video is covering is how to properly, everybody does it a little bit different, patch and fix clothes. So the first thing that we cover, other than the tail end of darning a sock, is putting a new waistband on something. In the case of this video, it is putting a new waistband on some split drawers. And then we go through, I go through and I cover how to fix seams and cover raw edges with the original hem tape that comes with whatever you're working on, rather than having to take it all off and put completely new back on. And then the last thing that we cover is, shoot, I just watched this entire video 15 times. You'd think I would know this. The last thing I cover is how to how to actually do patchwork, or at least my version of it. I am patching a very old pair of split doors that after this video and putting that patch on, I went, no, maybe not. These are just going to be permanently retired now. But that being said, because there are 3 sections to this video technically, in the description below I will put, or have put, rather, the timestamps for everything. So if you want to see something specific on how to do it, you can go straight there if that is what you wish to do. And speaking of the description and that general area of YouTube, you should definitely like and subscribe. If you have any questions, as always, please ask. I love reading the comments and answering questions best I can. It makes me think outside the box and helps me to better formulate my arguments, honestly. We also have Facebook and Instagram, both of which also under the name Historian Stitch. You should like and follow on there as well. And yeah, with that, we're going to start the rest of the video. Bye! Leads us on to the next project, which is going to be probably the waistband that I need to put back on here. I can pull it out. I have a pair of split bottom drawers here. They are period correct as to mainly the 1860s, but I have a major problem of the buttonhole ripped out. Obviously it has happened before because this is a little rough. This isn't exactly how you're supposed to fix it, especially for the first round of trying to fix. But I did it anyway because I was at work and they split open, like the buttonhole came undone, and I went, okay, here's how I'm going to do this. So I stuck another chunk in here and tried to piece it together, and I did it very wrong. And now I'm paying for it because the buttonhole is completely gone now. So what we have to do first is take the whole waistband off. Hopefully none of the gathers come undone with it. That might be a pain. once that is off, I have some extra material here. I'm going to cut a new one. I'm going to double it this time instead of just the single layer waistband here where you've got about 4-inch chunk that's folded over into the 2-inch waistband. I'm going to do, basically, I'm going to cut 2 of them, I'm going to lay them together, and then I'm going to do the waistband part itself. That way it's a little bit stronger, it makes it a little bulkier, but it'll last longer. And then we will continue on from there. So, we are going to go from this Buddhamas room to the dining room. Alright, so first things first, obviously I have all of my stuff laying out here, with the exception of one thing that you can't see. I have my thread and needle. The needle is stuck in the thread. I have my pins, I have my tiny scissors, I have my big fabric shears here, my, I believe like 3 yards of extra material, and the drawers themselves. But I'm missing something, because I really don't want to pick this apart with the scissors, so I'm going to go find I'm going to find a, oh Lord, I keep forgetting the words. Seam ripper. I'm going to find a seam ripper so that we can start pulling the waistband off, and we'll go from there. Alright, so instead of just grabbing one extra thing, I've actually grabbed 2. I have my handy dandy, probably 10 years old seam ripper. We'll see how sharp it still is, as well as this little jigger. This is a buttonhole maker. They come in different sizes. I have the medium sized one basically, and basically you just press it into the fabric, hold it there, smack it down. It cuts through the fabric, makes a very nice straight line, and since these are buttoned together, not ties, I'm going to need it. And also, since I got it for my birthday, or Christmas, I believe that was actually Christmas. Since I got it, either way, I haven't had a reason to use it. I haven't done anything with buttons, so here we are. First thing we have to do before we can start taking the waistband off, we gotta get the button off. And I sewed it on there, and Mom sewn it on there, and it's gonna be fun. So, here we go. Alright, so now that the waistband is taken off, the button is gone, we get to cut a new one. It is slightly angled, that way it actually fits up your waist and doesn't go tumbling down, and it doesn't become bulky underneath the corset. So our next step, without that, is to cut out the replacement band
which should be, yeah, about 4 inches. So, with that, basically I'm just going to cut along this bottom selvage, both selvages here. In the past, for like the drawers I'm wearing now, I have just used the fold line and cut from there instead. It works just as well, if not better, because then you don't have an extra seam to sew. But I'm just going to do this straight line here, about 4 inches up, which will be about right there. The nice thing about using the natural materials and replacing stuff on natural material garments is they actually tear straight. If you ever have tried to tear a straight line in polyester, for instance, it ends up going this way and then it goes that way and nothing comes out straight. And then you also have fuzzies and little dust bunnies that go everywhere, and it's gross because you end up breathing them in. So we are going to go with this, cut it 4 inches wide. What I typically do first, I'm going to leave a 1/2 inch allowance on both sides. Nothing wants to cut straight today, or just period cut. Granted, I'm using them in the wrong direction. I'll straighten that end out just a little bit. And, let's see, that's about 4 inches. I'm really bad about just guessing instead of actually measuring. But I'm going to make a little mark here and pull her apart. And this will be my new waistband. From here, I set this off to the side because I will need it here in a bit for patching. Because they're kind of angled two very different directions, I don't want to trim it off too much. Elsewise, I lose the width, not the width, the circumference of it, there's the word. But I do want them relatively straight. I'm not going to angle them like they were to begin with necessarily. Just because I'm not sure that's how it was supposed to be to begin with. I just trim the end off a little bit so I have a nice straight line. And from here, I am going to fold it in half. Open the box without pins flying everywhere. Pin these down, and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to stitch both ends. About 1/2 inch in, that's why I left the 1/2 inch allowance. Once I have that done, I will flip it inside out, or right side out rather, and then we can pin it to the original, pin it to the drawers themselves, stitch them down that way, and I will have a new waistband, and it will be ready to go, and then I can do the button and the buttonhole, and yeah, we're going to start stitching.
Alright, so throughout the rest of this video, basically all I ended up doing was hemming the rest of the waistband on, finishing that process with a knot at the end, and then that leads us into the next video, which will also explain why I'm here in this completely different room. um, yeah, head on to part 1.5, which will be the video right below this, or above this technically. Don't know which direction it's actually going. And yeah.